Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Teri, holding your space, and this is my guest, Debbie. So, thank you so much for being here today, Debbie.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you, everyone here, too, for being so understanding about our time change. It's definitely a time shift year, isn't it? So, we had something happening in our basement with our HVAC, and the guy could only come today. And it was really interesting. I feel like a lot of things are going on with water right now because water was stuck. So getting that flow out. Anyway, I'll just say hi to a few people. Seascape is here in Hypnicity. Hey, Barbara, how are you? Um, Good to see everybody. So Annie Bear's here. Judy, good morning. Fogo Pogo, how you doing? It's so good to see you. And CJ. Hey, CJ. So, Seascape, hi. HVAC is all fixed up. I've got some towels to clean up, but that's it.
Could have been worse.
A lot worse. A lot worse. Hi, Akila. Hi, Judy. Hi, Deborah. Good to see you. Spirit Talks with Deborah. Hello, hello. Another great channel. Gosh, yeah, lots going on. Hey, Shades of Gray. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, thanks everybody for being here. And Heavenly Blessed Honey, Sonia's here. Another beautiful show. And Annie Bear's show, of course, Standing in the Light. Amazing. Hey, Mary, good to see you. So I love that you're on today and we can talk about this. Lemurian astrology.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that you've got this and it's something completely different and it makes a lot of sense. There are other cultures that use the 13
Yeah,
signs, aren't there?
and I wanted to clear up a myth. I think some people were confused about that. I'm not the only person talking about it. It's actually ancient new technology, so I'm helping people to remember what we already had before. And if you were to encounter people from the Maori culture in New Zealand or Australia, that's where this system comes from. The man that I learned from is Huna Flash, and he was taught in the mystery school in New Zealand from the age of 7. So I learned from him. So
Wow.
this system is not my creation. It's been around for a long time, and this is a period of time when we're all coming together and we're all remembering together.
I love that. I do feel like we're all stepping into our gifts and remembering them. And we say that all the time. Like you'll start reading a book or watching a movie and you know it. You already know it. You know how it's going to wind up. You know, like you'll take a class and you're like, okay, I can do that. No problem. I've got
Sometimes you
that.
remember it from a
Yeah.
different time, and that's just it. We're walking each other home. Or in the case of the dolphins, swimming home. And yeah, that's the other thing that I say is if you've bumped into me, the planet itself is now called Planet Matea, whereas we had known previous iterations as Gaia or Tara. Now it's called Matea, and that's
Matea.
where we have 5.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Oh,
Other than home.
meta is universe, isn't it?
Ma, Matea.
Okay. That's homework, everybody. Let's figure that out. Annie versus Hello Weavers of High Magic. Sonia, you haven't done a show yet? Oh, I can't wait till you do. I can't wait. Hi, Lori's here and Leah. Yeah, Deborah says she always has that deja vu.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, especially bumping into people or sometimes pathways through the woods or sometimes old technologies. Or people are like, but you've never seen this before. I was like, no, I've used this before. This I know.
Yeah. Well, how many of us had seen the blue light and the diamond light and now the golden light and the, the rainbow light.
Mhm.
And we're all kind of waking up to it. And they showed me the grid, the light grid around the planet. And then everybody else was talking about the grid too. And I was like, oh, this is great. Everybody's on the same wave. Pretty much. Not all, but a lot of us are. So it's exciting.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's awakening, aren't they?
Mhm.
And do the Mayans and the Inca, didn't they use 13?
Oh, yeah, that's just it. And the Lemuria, it predates them, so their systems were built on it. It's very similar to the chakra system that was in India, and that had been another iteration of Lemuria 3 during that time frame. That was where it was based, and Mongolia, I think, was also in that same iteration in Lemuria 3. But so whenever you're doing the chakras or the sutras from that region, there are seed tones in that you can hear.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And I know in Jyotish and Ayurvedic
Mhm.
astrology, you take the next, or you take the ascending, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The ascending sign. And yeah, I've had that done before, and that was really interesting. And I thought, oh, okay, something
Yeah, I
different.
didn't resonate with that one at all. I was
You
like,
didn't?
nope, nope.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. You know,
The Lemurian I resonated with instantly.
yeah. Yeah. Um, oh, hypnicity. Yeah. Unfortunately, not everyone is awakening. Those that find these channels are, I think. My siblings, they don't get it yet.
Everybody's on their path and they'll come to it in their own time. If they decide that they're going to play around doing extra swirls on the merry-go-round, let them. That's their path. That is their choice. So as much as we can, we stay in our own lane and we work on things that come in that resonate with us.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, Annie Bear. That's wonderful.
Of course she did create a meditation area in her
I'm
garden.
just waiting for you to get your own Hunas essence revealed, Annie Bear. Really. You'll have to let me know when you do.
I love that. Yeah. Sonia says, just being in a space of not being focused,
Mhm.
not sure what to do, so I surrender.
Perfect.
That's
Ground
exact.
as much as you can.
Yeah.
And if you can't physically go into like playing in the earth, I mean, I understand right now it's triple digit heat in a lot of places. You can imagine being in Mother Earth playing with a garden, or you can imagine being under a waterfall, something that will help to ground you. A lot of the energy that's coming in right now is pretty strong, and those are photons that are coming in from the central sun, which was what I was talking to Teri about backstage. And the central sun is where we make up the 13th month. And so what happens in the Lemurian astrology, it's based on the 1st through the 28th of the months. And then all of those that are born on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of each month, that goes to the central sun. That is called Ma'ita. And that is the center light, the undistorted light, where the light emanates from. So what's going to happen is it comes from the central sun. It will beam through a specific stargate for each month, and each month will have its own essence. And that essence in the stargate, the flavor that's coming in will be for everybody that month, not just for the people that were born during those months.
Wow.
So,
I love that.
and the only other trick to Ma'ita, if you are a Ma'ita, your symbol is the crystal. Crystal Light of Days. And so if you want, you could go to the sign, the birth sign, the month that is ahead of you. But I have to say, Teri is a Ma'ita. I've met several Ma'itas. We have Ma'itas in our community. I have yet to meet one that wants to go to a regular birth sign. They're all like, nope. Central sun, baby. Central sun all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because they had shown me that a long time ago. That's where I came from, and they were like, "Hi, there you are." And then I remember coming to this planet, and I was like, "I'm going in." And everybody looked at each other and they were like, oh, she's going to go to do it. She's going to go down there.
Better you than me, right?
They couldn't believe it. They were like, really? I said, yep, here I go. It was really interesting. Hi, Thomas. How are you? To row your way. Good to see you, sir. Oh, seascape. This is interesting. I imagine myself kneeling next to earth with my head laying on land, like resting your head on mother's shoulders.
Ah, that's perfect. It's beautiful.
That's beautiful. So,
okay, so would you like me to walk you through the rest of the birth signs?
Yes, please.
Not unfair to everybody else. So the Lemurian year actually begins June 1st. So for June 1st through the 28th, those are called Kopanuis, and those are the sign of the wombat. And the essence for the wombat is child, and that can also mean creativity. July 1st through the 28th, you are Kaka. That is the sign of the talking parrot. That sign, the essence is all about the voice. And then we have August 1st through the 28th, which is the month that we're currently in. The essence is purification. And the symbol for this month is the falcon. And the Lemurian word for that is fatwa. Next, we have September 1st through the 28th, and that is Namu, sign of the dove. The essence will be peace. October 1st through the 28th, you are Kirihi, which is the sign of the lamb. Your essence is truth, taking the wool back, because we've had the wool pulled over our eyes. So the lamb is actually taking its wool back so that you can see the truth, the real truth, capital T. November 1st through the 28th, yours is the sign of Kahuku, which is the sign of the butterfly. And it's very similar to the Scorpio in that your wheelhouse is death and transformation, obviously going from the caterpillar to the butterfly, and also spirituality. December 1st through the 28th, your sign is Okapi, which is the forest giraffe. And your essence is the sign of father. Kia is the name for the hare, which will be the birth sign for January 1st through the 28th. Endurance is this particular symbol's essence. So January will be the essence of endurance. And I always say enduring and endearing. I love our hares. February 1st through the 28th, your sign is the hummingbird. That's called Tirani, and that's the tiny voice from heaven. Hummingbirds will be bringing in the sacred messages from heaven. March 1st through the 28th, you are called Honu, Honu. Yours is the sign of the sea turtle, and that essence is navigation. Everybody loves the sea turtle. April 1st through the 28th, yours is Tuatara, which is the sign of the smiling gecko. And your essence is all about the smile. The last of the symbols or the signs is for May babies. May 1st through the 28th, yours is Totoroa, and that is the sign of the albatross. The essence of Totoroa is determination, and it also denotes the observer mode. You're getting up and above everything, taking a look at it and assessing how your year went before you go into Happy New Year, June 1st then.
Wow. I really love that. Is there a place on your, I was just showing them your website, and is there a space on your website that they can go to?
If you go directly to debbiedement.com, what happened there is that is my original website. And so I was happily doing animal energy healing with the Shiatsu based stuff. So what you'll need to do is scroll down underneath the kitten that's sprawled out. There will be a link to my store. That's going to take you directly to my MP3s for the energy healing. But if you look up on the navigation bar, there will be something called Lemurian Birthsigns collection. And I've got all kinds of t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and stuff. But the main thing on that is you can click on any of those and they will give you more information that's on each birth sign. And so it will also give you it'll reiterate the essence. It will also tell you what the Stargate is for each month. And also on my, I got bumped by the dolphins again because they said make it. So I created a YouTube channel, heaven help me. And, and so every week on Tuesdays, I've been sharing, I do an oracle card read. So I will go through everybody's symbols at that point. And so I'll not only pull the oracle card, but you'll also be hearing the names for all of the different birth signs for Lemuria. The lovely thing about it, and the reason why the dolphins really wanted me to share, is because they said people need to hear this right now. What's happening whenever you see my Huna essence in front of you, Kamaroha, or you're hearing me say things like Kopanui, Kaka, Fatwa, Kirihi, Kahuku, you're actually getting Lemurian light codes hitting and activating your system. It's specifically working on you, even just seeing or hearing those. So those are frequency codes. Those are pure light essence codes that you're getting that is interacting with you.
Beautiful.
Oh, Lori, yeah. So if you're the 30th, you're a Ma'ita. That is a crystal light of days. So just like Teri is, on the 30th, that won't be a Kirihi. That will be what's called Ma'ita. Your symbol is going to be a crystal, and your star essence comes from the central sun. So what happens is you have the central sun, and then all of the Lemurian birth signs go around the 13th month, which is Ma'ita. So the light of the essence, the pure undistorted light, comes through the different stargates depending on which month we're in. So right now we're in August, which is Fatwa, and so our stargate for this month is Wero, and that is Mars, I want to say in the evening. Let me think. Yeah, no, excuse me, Mars in the morning. Mars in the morning. So if you go out onto the morning star and you see in the morning where Mars is, then the central sun is coming through that, and what is happening is it's going through that stargate with Mars, and it's beaming across its essence across the rest of the planet. And our essence this month is purification. So I encourage people to gently look over things for themselves. Look over your diet, look over your surroundings, take a glance over your relationships gently. If you need a detox, be nice and gentle with yourselves.
Yeah. Lots of comments going on here. Hi, Perrette. What is the Stargate thing for May? RB wants to know.
Hang on a second.
It'll be at debbiedement.com, RB. And then if you're the 29th, the 30th, or the 31st, you're the central sun.
Yeah, it's going to be To'u, T-O, then a space, oop. And that is Beta Centauri will be the Stargate for May.
Wow. Yeah. So, what do you see coming in like next month's energy?
Next month's energy is going to be peace. That's the sign of the dove. Yeah. So it's the Stargate for that will be Wahi, which is the sun, our sun.
That's so beautiful.
Central light will be coming from the central sun, will come through our sun, and then come onto the planet. But peace, the whole month.
I'm so ready, you guys. I feel like, and I do feel like that's where we're headed right now. I feel like everybody on the planet is kind of not everybody on the planet, that's a very privileged thing to say, but a lot of people that I see are kind of coming together. They may have had differences in other things. And so either
Yes.
they're coming together or it's chaos, like it's an explosion.
Well, the main thing too is I talk about the light distortions and the undistorted light. And so for thousands of years, millennia, we have had 2D entities that have placed distortions, filters on the light, the pure light that comes in. And they're the ones that created all of the systems that created division. So what happens is if they can get fear or anger or division between us as humans, they feed off of our energy. That's why sometimes whenever we're in this old point with the politics, that is a system that was created by the 2T entities because nobody's happy. Except for them. They get to feed off of our energy as we rage and get fearful and plunge into, some people, unfortunately, will plunge into despair. And it's an illusion. That's the sick, sad thing. It's an illusion. It does not exist. It is a made-up construct to feed the 2D entities. So you have to remind yourselves the other people are humans. There's a lot of things that humans won't do. They won't sacrifice other humans. I mean, everybody's seen it in history. That's not acceptable. That's not human. And again, that's a 2D construct, is what that is.
Yeah.
So absolutely peace. We need the purification and we need the peace.
Yeah. And hypnicity brings up something really interesting too about holding space for grief.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you need to take care of yourself, hypnicity, because there is a lot of shock that can happen, real shock and trauma to the body, simply because it's a loss, not just of your friend. If they're, longtime friends, they can be just as powerful as our families. But we also lose part of our history, our identity structure, whenever we lose somebody that we've loved very closely like that, and especially with it being abrupt.
It's so true, Debbie. We're so tribal, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
And, our identity here, which is a construct, a society's construct, but our identity is like the friend of Alan or the wife of John or whoever.
It's our history, it's part of us. I mean, I'm not 7-year-old me, but I can remember 7-year-old me. 7-year-old me is still part of my identity structure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if I was to lose somebody that was still around whenever I was 7, I would be losing that part of myself as well.
Yeah.
The short thing on it is be gentle with yourself. You're gonna feel like you're walking through wet cement. Hypnicity, that is grief. Honor that. Cry as much as you need to. Be gentle with yourself. Give yourself a break. If you don't do something perfect, don't take it out on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of us have had those heavy gravity days. We call them King Kong days, where you feel like you weigh 30,000 pounds and you're just clunk, clunk, clunk.
You can run into magnetic vortexes, so to speak, too. That's never fun. Unless you like that feeling. That's a strange sensation.
Yeah, it is weird. Care Bear, this is interesting. You feel like you're walking in the eye of the storm. I love that, Karen. It is interesting. Yeah, roller coaster ride for you, Rush. Of course, hence the name. Yeah, it's really interesting. Hey, Jazz. So that's interesting. Okay, I don't know why, but they're just pointing out when Rush was talking about the roller coaster, and we were also talking about the vortexes. What about dark holes? What do you see in the meridian lines of those, or is that just a weird thing to ask you?
Actually, just hang on a second. I'll feel into it.
Okay.
There are still, and that's just it. There are stargates. There are the stargates for each continent, each birth sign. There are several of them around the world. There are also portals, and the portals are more so for transporting people and places, things. Things can go through that. It's kind of like I laugh, but to the north of us is a section of land that's very portally, and I tend to avoid portals myself because I don't know what's on the other side of it, and so I'm not so keen to go dashing through an accidental door. I bumped into portals when I was much younger, and I used to go hiking, and what would happen is my friend and I, there was a pathway between her house and an abandoned cow pasture at the top of a ridge. We would walk that road between her house and the cow pasture. We knew every single turn of that place, every single stitch of that road, we knew like the back of our hands. And ever so often, we would come around the corner, there would be another bend in the road, another section of the road, and it would take us a good extra 5 to 10 minutes to go back and forth when that section appeared. We knew not to go to the left of the pathway. We had to stay on the pathway that was presented in front of us. It came and went. I mean, to me, it was just another portal. If you were to look at the energy system of the planet, yes, there are some dark ones that are there. So the best you can do is imagine sending light into that.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't get myself into situations with them. I do grid work. I do different work around the portals themselves, but I don't intentionally attack them because at this point in time, they're not my main focus.
Yeah.
If you would like, what I can do is go ahead and do some of the Lemurian codes.
Oh, I'd love that.
Do a harmonization. And if you would like, I can also do a technique that's called Takupinga Maui to go through the chakra systems for everybody.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start off with this one then. This is the harmonization. Tie, ori, ora, mahaka watahi, ite ingawa, tito irida otawana, wayutapu, ite ingawa, tefenui, tarani tikatao, wayutapu, ite ingawa, the fire tamatua tatama, wayutapu, tie, ori, ora. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over into the Kaha system is what is called the chakra system in Lemuria. And I'm not going to tell you the individual chakra systems, but what I'm going to do is use something that's called Takupinga Maui. It's represented by the flower of life. And what it means is the net of Maui. And Maui is the children from the stars. So like Maui, Hawaii. It's also the Maori people. So we're going to start off. Takupinga Maui, Ma'ita, Takupinga Maui, Wa'irua, Takupinga Maui, Teri, Takupinga Maui, Tinaro, Takupinga Maui, Tinira, Takupinga Maui, Maki, Takupinga Maui, Tako, Takupinga Maui, Matako, Takupinga Maui, Tawahi, Takupinga Maui, Toi, Takupinga Maui, Miki Miki, Takupinga Maui, Taro, Takupinga Maui, Ma'ita, Ma'ita, Takupinga Maui, Taro, Takupinga Maui, Miki Miki, Takupinga Maui, Toi, Takupinga Maui, Tawahi, Takupinga Maui, Tako, Takupinga Maui, Matako, Takupinga Maui, Tinira, Takupinga Maui, Tinaro, Takupinga Maui, Mahi, Takupinga Maui, Teriki, Takupinga Maui, Airua, Takupinga Maui, Ma'ita, Takupinga Maui. Welcome back. And what that was doing, the net was pulling out junk, lower frequencies that you do not need. And so that will sometimes also bring us in gifts as well. Sometimes the clairaudience or the clairsentience will increase. Clairaudience, clairvoyance, any of the clair gifts have the potential to appear as a gift from this.
Wow. They brought in flying when you were doing that at the end. Like we're just flying out.
Sure. Well, and like this, you know, there's a what's this? We'll go back up here a second. For Ness, ran into an old enemy, didn't know if they saw me or not. I think I did, had a name cat. Noticed I'm more woo now, how small their energy was. Yeah, sometimes people will bump into, or, you know, will come across your path and you'll notice that they have changed. A lot of times it's simply because you have changed. The other thing that's fascinating is we're all on different frequencies. I was going to say also different timelines. Timelines are a tricky thing because we're being hit with multiple streams every single second. And so it's not as hard as it was in 2021 and 2022. That was off the charts with the timeline slips. But we are still having timeline collapses and choices. And so sometimes what happens is you'll run across somebody and it's like, hello, don't you see me? No, actually, a point of fact, they can't see you because you're not on the same frequency as they are. So if you're holding a higher frequency, the lower entities actually, if you're holding yourself in that higher frequency, they can't see you. You sometimes will slip right on by.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It is interesting when we change our energy, how we won't see as many. We see what we put out there is what we get back, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're keeping it kind of high and not taking in a lot of news, perhaps, or dragging ourselves down with things like that, that has nothing to do with grief, you guys. That's a completely different ballgame. But some of the chatter in the news, and there's a lot, and it's hard to stay away from it some days, but not
off button.
Yeah, witness it.
Literally. And that's something that I tell people too. If you're on a page and you were in a pretty good mood before you turned on the radio station, or you have looked at a news page and you're noticing your energy system is going down, 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 literally reach up, shut the page off, go look at silly cat videos, anything that's going to make you laugh to bring your energy system back up. I cannot express how much they have manipulated the spaces with the televisions, your radio, your internet, any of the news spaces. You have no much of a choice of being perky around those. I don't care what side of the team you're pitching for, because they have geared it with all kinds of subliminal stuff behind the scenes that you can't see, and that's what causes your distress. Again, they don't care what side you've picked. They're feeding off of your distress. And that means anger as well. Yeah. That's a possibility, Chris. You might have been very much a misalignment with your original family.
Yeah.
There's a very good possibility with that.
Well, and how many of us grew up feeling alone? Like
I'd say all of us.
Yeah. Like you just don't fit in, right?
Yep.
And you'll try to make friends and be with your social group.
Get along. Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, you're a weirdo. And that's if they even see you.
Yeah.
Oh, my Ethan. Yes, that energy is coming from the central sun. And astronomy, not astrology, astronomy says currently we're traveling closer to the photon belt where Alcyon is. And that's where the central sun, that is where the photon lights are coming from. And in 2020, I literally saw them as columns of numbers, zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and ones, coming down from above. and they were spinning left and right. And it was an absolute fluke that I came across, but that is the representation of what a photon is, zeros and ones, and with either a left spinning or a right spinning on it. So it's astronomy, and that is the undistorted light, the photons that are coming from Ma'ita, the central sun.
Well, that makes so much sense. I when I'm giving readings, that's what I see a lot of, are the zeros and the ones, 0, 1, 0, 1,
Wow,
1,
isn't that
1.
cool?
Yeah, yeah,
It's great when we get the validations.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all see that. So, can you read it? The zeros and the
No,
ones?
no, I don't read it. Whenever I come across it, now most of it has subsided into, I can see, and I get them every single day. I'll see it. It's like if you're looking out across a lake and you know how the light sometimes dazzles on the surface? It'll look like that, only it'll be in between me and like the barn or the road or the sky. And what I do is I'll just stand with my eyes open. If the sun is too bright for me, which happens a lot, I'll look at the ground instead. But I'm just simply allowing that coding to come in. I have no idea what it's doing other than I know that it's upgrading my energy system. I know it's upgrading my DNA. And that's just
Yeah.
it. We have key codes hidden in our DNA. There's nothing wrong with them. They've been waiting for this photonic energy to come back in so that we can have that DNA come online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely being activated, aren't we? And
Yeah.
part of that's been the what we call ascension symptoms, right?
Yes. Yes. So if you need to go take a nap, lay down, take a nap, because what needs to happen is your body needs to integrate it. And I'll say it again, the older people, so those that were anybody that's not like say 0 to 7 years old right now, even your teenagers are going to have to some extent of this. We were birthed into a carbon-based system. We are moving towards a crystalline-based system. So for us older people, yes, you're going to need naps, because as the photons come in and they are altering our DNA, we are changing so that we can support the new light, the new earth that's coming through.
Yeah.
Playing up Matea.
Yeah. Sing songs. Yeah, sing song sounding songs, right? Yeah, very angelic sing song. I make up the
hand movements.
yeah.
I suspect that you are doing, they call them the haka over in New Zealand. And I suspect because so many of the our indigenous nations have seeds from Lemuria. So I suspect you are instinctively doing hand motions that would be similar to what is presented in New Zealand.
I love that.
Lemuria.
Did anybody else do interpretive dance in their house when you were all alone? I usually do it with music now, but it used to be just I could hear the music, and I feel like a lot of us probably did that. Hypnicity says, can we put ourselves in a bubble of protection?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Lori did. She danced. Yeah. Yeah. Those lonely childhood moments with our little friends that we weren't supposed to see, right, Ness? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. But that's I think it's interesting, how many of us have found YouTube and other areas to get together now, that you can just get on with like-minded people like that, and everybody's, studying similar things and, really engaging.
And
It's
sometimes it's really helpful for other people to know you saw that too. You know, I'll give you an example in the Midwest. I know of somebody, and she said, I went to my optometrist. She's an older gal, and she kept seeing this old shape in the sky. And so she asked the optometrist to verify that there was nothing wrong, you know, because sometimes things like diabetes will cause issues with your vision. And so she described it to the optometrist. He said, no, there's nothing wrong with you whatsoever. And you're not the only person in this area to be seeing that in the sky. So I know we've been told, whenever you see things in the sky, and I've seen things in the sky, then it will not necessarily be just the you thing. Green light picks. I'll take a look at them. There's every chance that is a light code that's coming in. The important thing, Annie Bear, is that you're getting these frequencies. It's going to be primarily for you, so that you are out there as much as possible so that it can upgrade you. I know your white light photos definitely have the light codes in them. Because there's been times whenever I'll put my hands up to your photos just to receive the light codes.
Wow.
Well, we have energy centers in the center of our palms. And so it's a two-way street. This is where a lot of times your energy will come out. So like if you're doing Reiki or if you're doing hands-on Shiatsu, a lot of the stuff will be coming from the center of our palms. But you can hold your hands up if you're seeing like her photo, where it's just a stream of light that's coming down. You can do the same thing where you're holding your hands up to it to receive that coding as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Receiving through the left, giving through the right. I love that. Leah says, stop. I saw a waterfall of ones and zeros flanked by 2 pine trees out in space.
Perfect.
I love that, Leah. Yeah. Oh, interesting, Lori. So that is interesting to hear. I see the counterclockwise spins of engines during meditations. Energy.
Yes. Yeah. And that is a Lemurian technology as well. Counterclockwise. To do and undoing is what's happening. You're undoing garbage.
Yeah. Back in time. Ancestral karma.
Collapsing things.
Yeah. Yeah. And then going forward.
Yeah, I see that Debbie is the Ho'oponopono thing, a Lemurian thing. Yes, it will be. The Lemurian thing is a more ancient thing, so it is the same. You can hear the same seed sounds in it, and it's the same thing as what happens with the chakra. There are seed sounds that your body knows that are in there, and those are Lemurians that are coming through.
Interesting.
You want to see the binary digits. Yeah, you'll understand that, Sal Rods. It's almost the same thing with the photons. Yeah, it was fascinating to see because my husband, whenever I was seeing this stuff, he's like, do we need to take you to the optometrist? And I said, I've never seen anything malfunction with a body where I'm actually seeing zeros and ones. I mean, they're columns of zeros and ones. And he's like, no, that's not normal. But that's equally not a diabetes or a glaucoma or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm so glad that her optometrist was so open to say that. There's a lot of us here have been having that vision, that the vision's a little blurry sometimes, or you can see things, but you can't. It's like you're seeing through the veil.
Well, and that was the other thing. There was another thing that happened in 2021 between my mother and me. And like I said, 2021 was a really rough year for timeline splits. It happened in October. I was seated. Unfortunately, she was not. Mine happened on a Friday, and I began it. It suddenly started spinning me in a clockwise motion while I was seated. Terribly dizzy. Huge. It was like the upper portion of me was in a vortex. And then the next day, as she walked across from the chicken yard to the house, she levitated. She stepped on uneven ground, only it isn't uneven there. It is solid ground. And then it was only a week after that I was walking just through my normal living room. And then it was my turn to do the levitation thing. And she wasn't kidding. That's not fun. I don't care what anybody says. It's like stepping onto a wobble board.
It is, isn't it?
Bizarre.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was some strange things. That things have toned down. They're just still strange, but things have toned down a lot since the 2021 and 2022 I was warning everybody in my sphere. I was like, I don't care what you do, stay on your higher timeline because this is some scary stuff that's happening right now. You're going to vanish.
That's interesting. 2021, I was at a retreat, a silent retreat, and every time I meditated, I swear I was up, but everybody had their eyes closed. I was really lucky, and then I gently land. But I couldn't keep my body in when I meditate because we just got into such a beautiful place.
Yeah, you were going up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No
Yeah, and then
gravity.
you have to do the grounding exercises to bring yourself back into your body afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Mary says, I had to take computer math in high school. They taught us base 1, base 2, base 3, up to base 9. Then we had to convert them to base 10 and others. It was crazy. Wow.
In junior high, was.
It is interesting. We were talking about how there's seeds inside us or epigenetics. I mean, there's physical epigenetics and then there's crystalline epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
And how things are getting activated so quickly right now. And I think when we're in group, do you find it more so that when you're in group than when you're
as humans, we have this amazing ability to focus our energy, and this is quantum mechanics and quantum physics, where we do things like the slit experiment, where with the scientists, and they've known that with the scientists for quite some time, if you have a scientist that's really keen on an experiment coming out a particular way, and they're observing it, say through a microscope or something, it's like, okay, I want this cell to move in a circular motion. And you look through it, it will look and it will go through a circular motion. Okay, well, I want it to do a squiggle line. Well, it's going to do a squiggle line. We are very focused creators. And so I think where you put your focus, the energy will go ahead and flow from that. It will create the form. So as a group, we can create what's called an egregore, which is where our energy will take on a form of its own, which again, we need to be very careful of where we're focusing our energy. If it is some sort of a system that will have a negative construct where people get voted off the island, you don't want that. You want everybody on the island having a good time together. That's the egregore you want to generate. So you need to be careful with where you're placing your energy and your focus and your attention. And as far as the epigenetics go, just with my energy healing alone, I have seen limbs straighten. I have seen spines straighten on animals before. I have seen broken bones mend. I'm not the only healer that's done that. So any of the epigenetics can be reversed, altered, changed. A lot of it is your belief system, what you've been told, what you'll believe, what you'll follow. I mean, I've seen some people where a doctor has told them some dire outcome and the person has basically flipped them the bird and said, I don't believe that. And then they go on to create perfect health immediately. And the doctor's like, it's a miracle. We get miracles through our careers. Sure. So we're very powerful, but we've been led to believe that we're not. It's kind of like a toddler with a laser. We kind of got to be careful with what we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing, but we are very powerful with it. So
yeah, that's so true. I mean, we are so powerful and we're creating all the time. And when we realize that, that's kind of the awakening here, isn't it? Realizing that we're creating what we see or mirroring.
That's just it. I'm hoping that it will continue to be a gentle process as we continue with the awakening itself.
Yeah.
I know a lot of times some of our older cultures have talked about it will happen in a flash. And I think at some point we will reach a critical mass where the photons probably will tip over into our sphere and bathe everything into a light. But I'm hoping that we will remain in the pre-dawn light long enough for our own bodies to go ahead and adjust to it. And then the rest of the life forms that we have on the planet, not just us, but I'm hoping, that the trees and the critters as well are all getting our upgrades at the same time, that we can gently step into this and not go, oh my dear God, I can't see anything now.
Right. Well, so many, yeah. So many seers and intuitives saw that there were going to be huge changes on the planet, and I feel like we've already jumped those timelines.
And that's just it. There was a lot of timeline, and that was why it was so dicey in 2021, 2022. I was trying to do as much of the higher timeline, and I happen to love my planet as it is. I don't want my creatures destroyed on it, especially don't want my animal friends destroyed on it. I'm very fond of some of the people, so let's not do that.
Yeah.
I don't have any place on the planet where I would pick on them and go, oh, I don't really like that section. Let's just flood them or burn them or whatever. No, let's just keep it nice and calm. Right now we're having some earthquakes that are going around the circle of fire, which is the gigantic rim around the Pacific Ocean. That's great. As long as we keep doing the 4 points, the 3 points, the 2s, we want a whole bunch of those, but very, very small, because what happens is it's like a simmering lid that's easing off that earthquake tension that's on those tectonics. So rather than it clamping down and everybody's like, oh, there's no earthquakes, that's really nice. No, that's a pressure cooker system. Eventually that thing blows up. So as long as we're going nice and easy, I'm happy with that. We did have a thing with Yellowstone that I looked into not too terribly long ago that happened in July. Thankfully, that was not the magma in Yellowstone that was being affected. That was an outer mud pocket that was excited, that did the explosion, where it just threw mud and everything up into the sky. And there again, thank heavens that those people were able to get out of that situation, because that was scalding, steaming mud and water that was thrown into the air. I gotta admit, man, those people could run.
Miracle. That was scary. Yeah.
That was scary.
Annie almost died in 2020. Well, I'm glad you're still here, honey.
No, and I'll speak to that as well. When we come down here, we have these preset ideas, preset exit points that we have. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we will come for that. And then we decide, maybe not so much. My story has changed enough that I want to hang around and see how this other thing is growing. I'm kind of digging the story over here, so I want to see how this turns out. Sometimes you'll see people that will develop a really long-term illness. Cancers will pop up, or other, like people that really struggle with, say, pneumonias. But they take a much longer time, and that's a weaning process. If they've chosen to do that, a lot of times what will happen is they're trying to get their family used to the idea that they're going to be leaving. My Aunt Betty was a great example of that. She should have passed away immediately December 25th, a few years ago, when I kept viewing her remotely. I was warning the family. I said, look, not to offend anybody, but I visibly saw her sitting in the lap of Jesus. And so I said, her soul's already passed over. She's quite happy. But her body remained almost for another 6 weeks. And I said, that is to give you time to come and go and to get used to the idea she has to leave. And of course, at first, everybody was trying to save her. And she was getting quite angry. She's like, no, I'm good. So it literally is part of that process. And sometimes I'll see that with people. I'll see that with older critters, dogs, cats. They'll suddenly have this illness where they just really can't get it reversed. And in some cases, that's because they're trying to get their people used to the idea that they have to go.
Yeah.
It's tough. When we have to say goodbye, they're right there on the other side of the veil. But we have chosen to stay here And it's important that we don't just dash over to where they are, because we still have things that we have to do down here. And in those instances, they'll be sending somebody along to help, especially in the case of the pets.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that often, that people want to stick around and help others. So some of my teachers and my mom used to always say that some beings stay on the planet to burn karma for the planet
Mm-hmm.
and for the collective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, Gandhi, when he could have walked out of his body, he stayed and burnt that energy.
Yeah. And that was during that yuga of the 26,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually, this is a very unpopular thing for people to hear, but in 2012, that was a collapsing of the karma timeline. That was tied with the Mayan calendar as well. However, because I have people and they get really upset at that idea, and they're like, it doesn't mean anything. It's like, no, the universe actually still is a mirror. So what you put out to that mirror will come right back to you. You still need to put out good. You still need to focus on as high a frequency as you can do. And keep in mind, you don't know what you don't know. So you may accidentally be putting something out there and you have no idea that it may not actually be the best vibe for you. You change as soon as you come across the other technique or the higher vibration or whatever that comes in. But yeah, in that respect, a karma thing will still exist. And I really don't recommend going out there and being violent or anything like that. That's not human. That really isn't. We're a very heart-based species. We really are.
Yeah. Yeah. Liz says, that was my choice a couple of months ago. Grateful we have a few exit points. Oh, my next one is not for another 15 or so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I hope so too. Somebody else, I think it was Lori. Yeah, Lori said that she had 3 choices as well, 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember a few times that I had that availability and it didn't happen.
It's tough to stay on this side of the veil. And so it's definitely a choice. And like I said, a lot of times you don't know what's coming. Sometimes the thing that you think is crippling right now, you may go around the corner the next day, the next week, and there will be a new modality or there will be a new supplement for a diet, something that can turn it around. Especially since I've done the energy healing. I mean, I've seen things turn around very quickly. So it is a choice. And it's not saying, I mean, we've all been in the situation where we've tried absolutely everything and you still lose that pet or you still lose those people, but they very much seemed like they wanted to stay here. And yet it still was their choice point to be leaving at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Mary says lots of souls left in the past 12 years, maybe so they can return.
Yeah, they will be coming back in. And the nice thing about it is they'll be coming back in with the crystalline bodies. So as they come in, they'll be coming into a kind of world will be quite different from what we've seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen, like I said, I see the light codes constantly and I don't know who they are. There's a lot of times that I will see beings that are standing in front of me. They're almost like 5 beings in front of me. They almost take shape, but they're not quite there yet. So the higher dimensional beings are also coming through to interact with us. So it's just a matter of we're just going to keep going up and up in our frequency until we're on the same dimension as they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Very close friend. And now she's your guide. I love that. Yeah. Kaylee. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I've seen that, like I said, with the pets, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Hypnicity. Almost drowned in a pool as a toddler and found out I also passed on the Titanic as a teenager. So what do you see? And I know that's not what this is about today, but what do you see what do you see as the light comes in, changes on the planet or changes?
That's been the tough one, is I haven't had the ability to see into I can't really quite focus on what it's going to feel like or look like yet. But I do know that the beings have been coming in. This is, and I really feel sorry for everybody else too. I went through it from 2020 until it tapered off finally in 2023. I did have different colored light beings that were coming in at night and upgrading my system. And I think a lot of that is going to be something to do with our new future, perhaps, that we'll be able to walk through walls or use closets as doorways to be able to, I walk in through one doorway here and I come out through a doorway in, say, France or England countryside, or I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, no time or space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already doing it, so why not? I like that ability.
Yeah. What was that, Star Trek?
Yeah.
That did that?
Although they beam to places, and their bodies materialize and then go through and then rematerialize. They just seem to, I don't know. It's like they phase in and out through different portals and things. So
yeah. Cool. Yeah. I love that. Okay. Annie Bear wants to know what you think of CRISPR.
I'm not as fond of humans doing the manipulation with the technology, because I see firsthand the photons that are coming in. We already have the technology in our bodies. So I think it's more natural for us to go out in nature. Or if we can't, we can substitute nature by taking, like I said, showers, or even the imagination. But we're actually getting a lot of the alterations just from walking in nature or spending time outside, so that we can interact with some of the photons. And like I said, sometimes the sun's too hot. You can even stand on your porch or in the shade, and you're still getting the sideways beams of the photons on ourselves. So rather than have it be conducted by another human, this is being conducted from the direct central sunlight, which I'm a nature gal, so I think it's more healthy for us to have our own bodies and our own DNA come online, because that's the other thing that we need to remember too. When we were in the Yugo that we're completing, that would have been in the age of Capricorn. That was systems. We went from one man, or usually one man, but somebody at the top of the totem pole and then the rest of us underneath. We're coming into an age where, if you want to call it Aquarius, where we need to regain our own sovereignty. You are the royalty as we're stepping forward. And it's a lot of us have self-worth programs that have been running most of our lives, but you do need to own it. You need to feel into standing on your own 2 feet, listening to your own wisdom, especially whenever it comes to things. It can be something as simple as, wow, well, that piece of broccoli, is that going to support my body? Is it not going to support my body? And sometimes you have to ask that every single day. Is this food really going to support me today? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe things are changing.
Yeah, I love that. Everybody's talking about the different types of medicines coming in. Is there, I know we're going just a little bit over now.
Stem cell therapy. I got a funny story on the stem cell therapy. I actually knew the pony that was at the forefront of stem cell therapy. She had stepped into a bunny rabbit hole when it was over in England, and she tore out her tendon on a front leg. And so what they did was, she was young enough, I think she had only just turned a year and a half. And so what the vets did with her, they took cells from her belly button, they cultured it in a petri dish, her own cells, and then they injected that into the suspensory ligament on her leg. And that was the beginning of the stem cell research and therapy. And she was never strong enough to be ridden, but she was healed well enough that she could live out. I think she passed away about a year ago, but she made it to like 23 or 24 years old.
That's awesome.
So
That's
yeah,
great.
I love it whenever they can do your own stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I know. And they have a lot of electrodes that they're working on too to which basically a lot of them activate the vagus nerve or the vagal nerve. And you can do that through meditation. You can do, there's a lot of
Frequencies,
different, yeah,
yeah. The humming, yeah.
yeah, 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 mantras. Amazing.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for being here. Oh, one more question and then we're done. Is there a certain time of day that you suggest going outside to get the protons?
I don't. The photon energy seems to be bathing us pretty much uh, all the time.
Yeah,
There's even been times at night that I have seen dazzles in the night sky.
yeah,
So my main concern is that the sun, because it's being excited from the central sun, it's going to be hotter. You might burn faster, especially if you're fair skinned. So just be care and be aware of that. Like I said, you don't have to be standing in the central sun cooking. You can stand in under the shades and the photon energy can still reach you and will still be. I let my body tell me how much time I need. There'll be times whenever I'm walking, at least once a day, I will have it happen where I see it. It's just a dancing pattern of lights in front of me, and I'll stop my walk. I'll just stand there with my eyes open, and I'll just wait. And after a while, it changes. Sometimes it's pretty fast. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. But I just stand there and wait until the pattern slows down or disappears. And at that point, I continue on my walk to the house or to the barn or wherever I was headed to. That's
that's so
how
cool.
I'm doing this. It's not like I'm specifically. I think what's going to happen, especially as you're going on your walks or whatever, I think that you will be bathed naturally in this. I see Teresa Ford like that. I like to walk before sunrise. I still think that you're going to be hit with the photons. Just perfect, and it's safe. And that's the best time before sunrise because that's the coolest that you're going to have, especially in triple digit heat.
Yeah, she's in South Florida. Chris
Mhm.
Cassidy has the new T-shirt. More protons, less morons. So
Well, I
that's
would
it,
say
Chris.
I would say more photons, pH, because it's the photonic light that's coming in and is exciting our DNA and bringing it back up one.
I love that. All right, everybody. So you can reach Debbie at debbiedemont.com, and there's information in the description of the show. You do readings, right? And healings.
Yeah, I still do one-on-ones. You can reach me through debbiedement.com. There is a contact me page if you want to do one-on-ones. And so if you reach out through that, then I can email you back and we can start the conversation. And I primarily do it for the critters, but I can certainly work on people too. And then, like I said, on the front page underneath the kitty cat, you will find the link to the Lemurian Birthsigns. So if you wanted, there is MP3s for my energy healing, but there is also the Lemurian Birthsigns collection where you can, hey, what's mine? What's my friends? What's my cousin's birth signs? And you can dip around and see everybody's birth signs and learn a little bit more from that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh, Chris, no, don't be sorry you got that wrong. I would too, because I'm so dyslexic. I'm not. Yeah.
pH
That's
versus P, yeah,
yeah.
pH versus PR.
Yeah.
Very, very easy to, very easy to miss that.
Yeah, that's what we used to call best guess spelling. So, all
Hey,
right,
you got
everybody.
so
Right. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for being here, Debbie. And thanks for being so flexible, everybody. I really, really appreciate it. All right. Have a great day.